ASMR Nation. You know what we haven't done in a while? There goes the truck. You know what we haven't done in a while is unpopular opinions. These are unpopular opinions of Reddit. I need to start taking notes of my own unpopular opinions because, I always have. They come across my mind. I just haven't been gathering them up, but I'm going to start again. We have not done an unpopular opinions video in a very long time. But we're gonna bring them back. Before we do, you know the drill, you know the deal. We gotta do some channel maintenance, some channel hygiene. So if you're new here, welcome to my nonsense. If you're old here, welcome back. Oh geez. If you're new here, please consider hitting subscribe. And if you're old here, go double check. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit the like if you like. Leave a comment. It could be anything related to the video. It could just be a hello, a few emojis, whatever, as long as it's cool and respectful. Hit the notification bell. As always, I would link my tip jar down yonder in the description box. No pressure whatsoever, but every $1 helps. That is what allows me to continue to make content. Also, you are invited to my Patreon. I know not everybody can come, but you can't say you weren't invited. The link to my Patreon is down below, and I post a lot over there. Alright. The first one, which I can already tell I agree with. It says, it's beef until we die. You most certainly don't need to forgive everyone that did you wrong. I think it's common advice that you should forgive people, that it hurts you more in the long run. I completely disagree, and I think forgiveness is overrated. I think you can have situations where forgiveness is not warranted. Sometimes it takes unnecessary mental and emotional energy to forgive people, depending on the transgression, right? Like, you don't have to forgive somebody for things that you are not really ever going to get over. You can't get over some things. Gotta sneeze. There are people that have not made amends to you. They are the same person that they are when they did what they did to you, and I don't think you have to reach deep into your soul to do the work of forgiving somebody that doesn't even care about your forgiveness anyways. They're not good people. The first comment is, you definitely shouldn't forgive everyone, but beef is different than indifference. There have been several people in my life that I walked away from and don't forgive and probably won't ever. But having beef is an active, preoccupying thing. Okay, I agree with that. I don't give them time or space. I couldn't care less about the people I don't forgive, so if they got beef, they got it with themselves. Yeah, this is kind of more my style. No, I'm done. But I can't say it's totally inactive. Because the things that they did, you don't just forget, so it's there, but it's not festering, or it does come to the surface, I guess, sometimes when you think about the infraction, but it's not eating you up, 100% agree with this. Yeah, none of this beef business. You're cut out of my life, full stop. If for some weird reason you're still traveling in my circles, I'll probably find ways to either leave said circle or see that you do. For the people who say you should forgive everyone, forgiveness and indifference are the same thing. Forgiveness just means letting go of anger and resentment. If you aren't holding on to those negative feelings, you have forgiven them. That is one way to look at it. It depends on your philosophy of forgiveness. For me, forgiveness means I want that person around, so I will tolerate them. Some people believe you can forgive someone while maintaining your distance, that it's some personal feeling rather than how you treat someone. Either way, I'll die someday. If I haven't made up with some people by then I guess it wasn't meant to be. My uncle and grandpa fought over something dumb for years. 20 years later, they made up and cried about how they lost yes. Forget, no, it's not worth it. Okay, that's just being stubborn and ridiculous. Like, you, didn't put gas in my car when you returned it. And so now, for 20 years, we're not going to talk. Like, that's just stupid. Okay, let's find another. Parents should not expect praise for the bare minimum. This is coming off the back of multiple arguments with my mom. But it always circles back to, well, I deserve appreciation for putting a roof over your head and feeding you. What? You knew you would have to do those things when you chose to become a parent. Expecting praise for performing the bare minimum of a choice you made is ridiculous. I tend to kind of hate these Reddit or anywhere these like pitting parents against kids. Like, it's all of our first times on earth and we're all people. Like, and I know because I came from a shitty parent childhood. But we don't know any of the context about this, and let me be the first to say, it's not easy keeping a roof over everybody's heads. It's not. It's also not easy to get everybody in a household fed nonstop every day for 20 years. It's not easy. But we don't know the whole story, and yes, you have to do those things, but usually you do them out of love and duty, you know. 100% agree, you are legally and morally obligated to provide a roof over your child's head, to feed them, and to make sure they maintain general health if you decide to raise them. Yes, you are, but a lot of absent parents don't do that and leave the whole burden on one person. This idea that parents deserve praise for this is BS. You chose to have a kid and then you chose to have this minimum obligations. I agree. I know some really bad parents, not mine, who take pride in being a parent. Boomer parents are wild and a completely different breed. I'm a millennial mom trying to be a better parent to my kids. We'll have over three generations, whilst trying to undo the damage caused by a boomer who thinks bare minimum deserves Mother of the Year without taking accountability to her abuse. And then somebody said, in a world full of shit parents and shit people, praise should be expected for the ones who try. So we don't know that that's all this mom did. She is saying it kind of weird, so maybe it is. I don't know. But somebody said your mother is most likely a narcissist. Narcissistic parents always praise for the most basic things. I mean, we don't know much. She could be. But I don't think this is enough to go on. Okay, raising a child is hard, and it's not bad to feel deserving of praise for accomplishing it. However, you should not expect your child to praise you for fulfilling legal and moral obligation, one which in most cases you chose to bring upon yourself. If you did a good enough job raising your child, they'll thank you with their presence, love, and a continued relationship into adulthood. Your mom saying that to you is a very common form of manipulation. It's good to empathize with her hardships, with how difficult child rearing is, but she should never say to her child that she deserves praise for just not letting you die. Okay. This one says parents shouldn't be expected to be praised even if they're the best parents in the world. Children do not owe parents anything, no matter how good of parents they were. If you don't agree, please never have children. And the comment to that said, just because you hate your parents does not mean everyone does. Some of us love them and enjoy being grateful to them and spending time with them because they're good people. They deserve kindness. And if you don't understand that, you also shouldn't have children. Okay. That's a tricky one. You should definitely feed and clothe your parents. I just somehow doubt that that's all a parent did, ever. Like, tell me your mom or dad didn't read books to you and go to your school functions and help you with your homework or get you started with a car or just any of the extras. Okay. Everyone is so insecure about their wisdom these days. There is currently no way to cut a person down faster than to call them naive. It's worse than being called ugly or stupid. At this point, it invalidates their experiences and opinions in a unique, patronizing way. Oh, hon, you just don't know any better yet. Have a cookie. Everyone wants to seem like someone who's been through a lot, who's wise and jaded from this harsh world, whose cynical, hot takes are formed from their first-hand experience, not second-hand observations. Okay, comments. I think true wisdom begins when you become insecure in your wisdom. Yes, when you're like, I don't know much. I don't know why, but you do have some insights too, you know? Realizing how little you know and how limited your experience and perspective is opens your mind to learn more. Trust me, you'll understand when you're older, so they had to throw that in. Okay, interesting observation. Everyone revels in their hardship to some extent, whereas in previous eras wanted to hide it. It's like we're normalizing it, but music and movies have glamorized the harder aspects of living for a while. I'm not sure this is always as impactful as you think it is. If someone's sharing their experiences and someone calls them naive, that shows individuals' willingness to project their bias as what they deem naive, not reality. I'm lost. It's not unique in any way, shape, or form. It's a line that has been around and used in this way for a long time. Why would someone's goal even be to cut someone down this way? Someone said, well, my dad is a narcissist and a classic example of type of person that needs to cut others down to feel more powerful. Invalidating one's life experience is a tool used by a lot of people to make the other person feel small. Okay. There's another one about the bare minimum. This one says, doing the bare minimum should be something that is expected, not mocked. Yes, this post will be vague and general. Honestly, I can think of millions of examples here. I guess I will use the example of being a good person. Sally, you have to examine the role you play in perpetuating toxic ideas in society. Jerry, I'm not a bad person, I'm not bigoted, and I don't treat people like Sally, that's the bare minimum. Do you want a cookie? I kinda hate that line. Do you want a cookie? Responses like Sally's piss me off. Don't get it twisted. I don't care about the validations that come with being perceived as a good person. Honestly, I don't care about being a good person. Because I think a good person is defined by whatever benefits they offer to an individual or society, so the idea of a good person rubs me the wrong way. I just think the Sally response comes off as people having entitlement, thinking they are entitled to a form of special treatment think that's BS. You're only entitled to the air you breathe. Your human rights and getting paid after doing your job. People should expect nothing but the bare minimum. Nobody deserves more than the bare minimum. This is very odd. And of course the first comment is, well, I'm upvoting for unpopularity. Then again, it sounds like OP has something very specific in mind while trying to frame the post as very broad and vague. I must agree. Somebody said you need more context. I think your fictional Sally sounds like a virtue signaling social justice warrior from the limited information available, but I could be wrong. Engaging with such a person is going to be exhausting. However, in other contexts, I'm disappointed when people give the bare minimum. Example, a singer, an athlete, a teacher, a nurse, etc. The bare minimum is disappointing. Well, I think the example doesn't really give enough information or sound particularly realistic. What Sally here is trying to say can be reasonable if we're being charitable. You can't expect to just stand by and do nothing, sometimes just because you're not the one affected. In a case where someone's rights are threatened, doing nothing, while not as bad as advocating for it, is still bad. Bingo. I don't expect bending over backwards, but I would expect at least some pushback if we're talking about bigotry. Complacency contributes to the problem of said bigotry. Though I guess that's what you mean by needing more context. And somebody said that was my take on Sally as well. So maybe, what was the other name that he used? I'm guessing he's the Jerry, was just watching something terrible happen. And Sally was like, bro, what are you doing? Like, can you help that person out? Say something or do something. And Jerry was like, whatever, I'm not the bad guy here. Which is, yeah, you kinda are. If you're watching something horrible go down and you don't say, cut it out. I work in the schools and I see kids treating each other badly. And they might not necessarily be breaking any major rules yet, and it's still my job to say, knock it off. We don't do that in here. That was wrong. We don't talk like that to other people or whatever it may be, Professionally speaking, that just means they have to be clear about what the bare minimum is, because some people will expect bare minimum is to show up and do the job, but not well. I've met people like it, and it really puts a burden on everyone that doesn't need it explained that turning in something doesn't mean it was done right, and surprisingly, it can take quite a while for those people to get fired and replaced with someone who is not a liability. As far as being a good person, I generally prefer neutral or better, though I suspect everyone is an a-hole occasionally. But like all things, people's reaction to what you do is their decision as well. So if all they can say about you is that you're not actively an a-hole, they still might not like you. If that's okay with you, no worries. But if you want people to have a positive opinion of you, yeah, sometimes a little extra goes a long way. On the other hand, I would totally blow off Sally telling me something like this, like the first line. One of those things that when discussed directly makes the speaker sound really condescending. Alright, we're gonna do one more, and then I gotta get going because it is a work day for me. I'll try to find one that has a decent amount. Okay. This is a good follow-up to that one. But some people can. It says, you can't entirely stop caring about other people's opinion of you. Whenever I listen to some podcast about self-development, they always tell us that we shouldn't care what other people think of us. It's our human nature to care about it. It's totally normal. We should give more importance to our opinion of us and learn to manage how we perceive other people's opinions like our feelings and thoughts about it so that we don't let them have a huge impact on us or make them define who we are. But that doesn't mean we should stop caring about it entirely. And the first comment says to follow up with my first comment, which is no longer the first comment on here. So I don't know what it was, but I also think that some people are just horrible and judge for no reason to bring others down. But I'm not referring to them as the people being considered. Some people's opinions or otherwise perceptions of you should matter because as humans who desire connection and some sort, we have to leave room for improvement in all aspects. I always thought it was implied that if IDFC, I don't freaking care, I don't know, was to let go of negative, non-constructive opinions and not let it affect you, just not every opinion. Yeah, for real, like what if your boss tells you during the performance review you aren't doing your work fast enough and you notice everyone around you is indeed faster? Or that Sharon said you're saying improper things to her and every time you say STH to Sharon, the whole table looks at you weird. If you ignore those and don't do some self-improvement, you get fired. Yeah, you can't, I don't think they mean every opinion of you. I think they just mean like care less deeply about the opinions that aren't really affecting you. Definitely true in my experience. It's better to decide whose opinion about me matters and whose doesn't there. I can and I have. Most people are idiots or don't even know what they're doing in day-to-day life, so why would I care what they think? Why would anyone? If you know this and still care, you have yet to achieve the confidence necessary. It's fine to view other people's opinions as feedback, but the real issue lies in letting these opinions control you or bending over backward for validation. The older I get, the less I care about what others think. As a teen and young adult, I spent a lot of time worrying about it and trying to win everyone's approval. Now, as an older adult, I simply don't have the energy to care. I'm also more secure in my identity and have come to realize that I'm normal enough that most people have neutral to positive opinions of me anyway. In 10 to 15 years, I think that I will entirely stop caring what others think of me, besides my wife and those close to me. By that time, I'm elderly. I will have negative F's to give about what others think. The beauty of getting old. I definitely like the way my brain thinks as I get older, and you don't walk into a room and think, oh my god, this person is judging what I'm wearing or my hair or all the stuff you think about in your adolescence and your early 20s and stuff. Or, people might give their opinion and you're like, and who are you? Or, oh, okay. I mean, I have a channel for God's sake, so yeah. There's some opinions that I'm just like, whoa, that says more of you than me. Anyways, if you watch